Well, friends, your friendly neighborhood beer TV host Dave Lavora somehow took a wrong turn and I ended up here in this sunflower patch, although I'm exactly where I need to be because we are in Urbana, Illinois at Riggs Brewing. And I'm going to tell you this, some of the best German beer we've ever had is made right here in Illinois. Find out more on this episode of Brewed. We're here in Urbana, Illinois. Is this technically Urbana?
Yeah, the other side of the highway is county, but yeah, we're still in the city.
I had a feeling. We're here at this incredible space. This is Riggs Beer Company, and I want to tell you, I mean, as far as like acreage and space, I mean, you've got a lot going on here, man.
We own 22 acres,
Uh-huh.
about 15 of which we farm, some brewing grains, some other stuff, and then, yeah, the other 5 is parking, the building, and then beer garden.
And that's a big deal in terms of the ingredients that you use in the beer, like the wheat and the corn that is in this beer is from these very fields.
Well, on this one, it's corn and barley, but yeah, we also
Right.
grow a fair amount of wheat for our wheat beers, yeah.
You have like a winter wheat that you go after, and
Yep.
help me understand how something like this gets started.
Well, in 1874, a couple German immigrants start plowing some black dirt,
Right.
13 miles that way.
Right.
And then they have kids, and they have kids, and they have kids. And so my brother and I were the 5th generation to operate the family farm. And we knew growing up that it was going to be difficult to keep our small farm kind of independently owned and operated. The economics of row crop commodity ag weren't great then, and they were getting worse. And I honestly think they're probably going to continue to not be good for a
So
long
you go
time.
into craft beer where the margins are terrific.
Well, they're better than farming.
Okay, that's
So-
sad to learn, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, and when we started, I think the numbers were better. Now
Yeah.
the industry's matured; it's gotten tougher. But
Right.
you know, we're coming from row crop commodity agriculture on a small family farm, so I'm used to thin margins and hard work for modest returns. So craft beer, it's like it feels normal, I guess.
I know sustainability is like a big buzzword that a lot of breweries will jump on, and they're sincere. I'm not questioning the sincerity of other breweries to talk about sustainability, but what you have going on here, I mean, when you park in the parking lot, you're greeted by solar panels.
Yep.
Let's talk about your commitment to being a good steward and how probably that helps with the bottom line as well, right?
Yeah, so solar's the visible one.
Yeah.
As you pull in, it's kind of hard to miss. And that array's been there for 8 or 9 years. And so 8 or 9 years ago when that went in, that was even more uncommon. And
Right.
people were like, holy cow. The economics of it back then were okay. But as you've seen price increases on the electrical side, I look back now and I'm like, that's one of the best investments we've probably ever made.
Right.
I try not to get too preachy, and we don't lead with that a lot.
Right.
We hang it out there for people that want to find out more about it, but I think that a lot of times when you get too preachy about that type of thing, also you can start to alienate people.
Sure.
So the last thing I want to do is rub anybody the wrong way and get preachy and give them a reason to not like our beer.
You mentioned your family's German heritage, and I have heard from a lot of people I respect that the beer here is probably as authentic a German beer as you can have something made in the United States.
That's a hell of a compliment.
Well, I mean, you hear that too, though, right? I mean,
From some people.
Yeah.
I think some people don't like our beer.
no kidding. Well, tell me who they are. Show yourselves, cowards.
That's right.
I mean, you walk in.
They usually don't tell us if they don't. They just don't come here
Well,
all the time.
that's what Yelp and
There's a few of those.
the
for
beer
sure.
apps are for.
That's right.
When you walk in the place, there is a certificate. Now, I cheated. I used Google Translate.
You can do that now with a phone.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was so easy to do. But it talks about a program that you took over there, and you're kind of a big deal. You're a master technician over there. What does that mean?
Yeah, so there's not a ton of American brewers that are certified by the German government as a master brewer. I'm one of them. Does that make the beer necessarily inherently better because the paper's on the wall? No.
Well, give me a second. Let me hang out a second.
It probably doesn't hurt it.
No, I think you know what you're doing. Yeah. No,
Thank you.
Wow.
I spent 3 years in southern Germany. I worked in the industry that whole time. I went to work at a family-owned brewery in northwestern Bavaria, and then after about a year and a half there, I went to brewing school in Munich. I did the German language, German brewing program, and I learned a lot. And I think a lot of things, looking at the way to make beer from a little bit different perspective than maybe what a normal American craft brewer was looking at when everything was still going gangbusters.
Right.
And I think that's kind of prepared us for more challenging times, because the Germans are inherently maybe a little bit more efficient on the process design and the precision, even if it meant a little more upfront investment. And as this industry's matured, I think that's served us well. But I don't think
when you've been doing something for 13, 14, 1500 years, you tend to kind of know what you're doing, right?
Well, but also think of it this way.
Right.
The German brewers are competing on razor thin margins and have been for generations.
Right.
Because there's so much capacity, so much family brewery tradition in every region. It's way more competitive than we've ever been.
Right.
So they've always had to be more resource focused, efficient, precise, because the competition has just been so strong for so long. My wife's from Germany, she's a German citizen. And so, we seriously considered starting a brewery and keeping a brewery, running a brewery there. But I'm looking at the price point, the margins, the energy costs, and I'm just like, this is going to be way too hard. And
we need the beer here. We need the beer here. I'm glad you brought the wife over.
It's turned into a good decision.
Right.
I know I'm friends with a lot of, I went to brewing school with a lot of guys and gals that still operate breweries in Central Europe, and it's harder for them right now than it is even for us.
Can I ask a question about the space that we're in right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because just going on YouTube all the time, I've always wanted to go to Germany. It's one of my bucket list things. In terms of like beer gardens, when you hear the term beer garden at breweries, a lot of times that just means a space outside where people drink. Here, this looks like what I see when I look at what an actual beer garden in Munich is. I mean, down to like the chestnut trees and everything.
You noticed the chestnuts?
No, I did. That's like a big deal over there.
We went chestnut heavy. Yeah. That is.
I mean, there's maples, but the fact that there are chestnut trees, that's what really.
Our farm's the maple on farm, so we had to.
Okay,
it's a blend.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But like that's as far as like getting everything dialed into being as authentically German as possible. Like I'm sure that's a detail maybe only super beer nerds notice.
I've heard like 2 or 3 people suss that out. So congratulations.
Right on.
Yeah,
I've passed some sort of test. So yeah, like there's chestnut trees, and this is like an open space for families, and then you've got like food trucks where people can get their food and bring it here.
Or they can bring in their own food.
Right.
Like a traditional beer garden. Yeah.
Right. So like I could make like a cheese tray and bring it here, and just so this is as close to what an actual beer garden experience would be like. Am I close?
We did our best to plagiarize a very successful model.